Behold, my stuff.
Ooh.
I'm particularly fond of these.
Chill.
Hello there, gang, and welcome to another episode of Displaying Model Behaviour, the Earth's mightiest action figure video podcast. So take off your pants, crack a beer, and let's talk toys. Let's talk Loot Crate. It's been a while since I did a Loot Crate, because I've been trying to get rid of more things than I've been buying, but you know those ratios rarely work out for long, and I have accumulated a whole bunch of stuff, especially from Comic-Con just the other day. So let's talk about them. You know, I didn't realise until I started speaking that I'm actually a little bit hoarse today, but that's okay. Not a Norse horse, but horse nonetheless. But we'll carry on regardless, because we have McFarlane's Warhammer guy. I'm not a Warhammer person, but I dabble, I dip my toe in. You know, I've experimented with Warhammer. Maybe it's not for me, but I'm glad I had the experience. And that's where this guy comes in. Why am I collecting weird cyborg, cosmic, freaky Terminator-looking characters with flesh pulled across their faces? Well, I'll tell ya. Because I'm still eagerly awaiting the Cosmic Legions figures to come in, which will be at some point this year, I guess. I'm going to check out Cosmic Legions and see sort of where are we with this wave. I know it's still on time and on schedule. I'm just not sure what that schedule is meant to be. Anyway, this guy is going to fit right in with them, because you don't have to be into Warhammer to appreciate an incredibly awesome looking cyborg hunter-killer type robot. I'm just headcanoning my own sort of idea and history and backstory for this character, because he's got this wonderful sort of look where he'll fit in with anything in my cosmic display. I've got characters from Mezco, NECA, even Fortnite in there, and this dude as a cosmic bounty hunter is going to go right in place with these. I think the McFarlane's tooling and sculpting, they nail it every time. McFarlane are really great with that. They have their shortcomings too, but in this regard, they nailed it. Now, one thing you will find with this is, like a lot of classic McFarlane stuff, he's kind of sort of pre-posed. You do have a fair amount of, you know, movability and articulation with him, but it always feels more natural to have him in this kind of like slightly off to the side kind of look, because his hips just seem to sort of rest better in that style. But you know what? It works. I'm not mad. If you wanted to get a few of them, then you could do, and you could put them in different poses, and it wouldn't look like they're all striking the same pose, Madonna style. But still, this is just really fun. I love it. The flesh looks really gross, like it's doing the worst attempt in the world to disguise itself as a human. That's really creepy. Like, cyborg computer logic would think, no, I have flesh. I look like a human. Nah, swing and a miss there, pal. But I love the chrome. The chromey sort of paintwork. It looks like it's made of metal. It doesn't look plasticky. Hasbro, pay attention, alright? When you're doing Iron Man armors or any kind of, something that should be metal, don't just make it in plastic and then leave it. Don't just cast something in red plastic and go like, red metal, red plastic, that'll be fine. No, you actually got to put like paint on it to make it look metallic. This looks like beaten, battered, old war iron, like it's cast out of iron. Really cool. These blades on the fingers, so gnarly, so terrifying looking. Then with lovely grayscale gunmetal on here as well, that makes the kind of golden, coppery kind of look even more sort of vibrant in comparison, but vibrant in a dingy way. The eyes have got this nice little green glow, but they look a bit flat. Like, it'd be nice if there was more of a kind of a glow sort of coming to them. Dave, how would you make paint glow? I don't know. I'm not a toy making guy. I'm just saying what I'd like to see. Speaking of what I'd like to see, the cool spine effects coming off the back here, so freaky and cool and gnarly and just grim. And this is a guy you wouldn't want to bump into. So on the whole, don't know what his Warhammer history is, but as a standalone badass cosmic figure, yeah, I dig the heck out of this guy. Next up, we actually have a donation to the channel from one of the nearest and dearest good brothers. We've got Lord Zedd. I was not going to be collecting Power Rangers. I had a Tengu warrior who I put in my kind of creatures fantasy kind of setup. But then when you get offered a Lord Zedd figure, by Jove, you take it. If somebody asks you if you want an action figure, you say yes. And yes, indeed. This guy, I always loved Lord Zedd. I thought I was a big Power Rangers fan when it was on TV, and it was the mid-90s, and I was really too old to be that into Power Rangers, but I mean, come on. Come on. Power Rangers was great fun. My only problem was that Rita Repulsa. I mean, not exactly the most threatening villain. And then they bring in Lord Zedd, and he's like a 7-foot-tall, monstrous badass with no skin, just muscle flesh, and then cyborg robot armor, a grill face, and just so badass. And then all these tubes, which Hasbro have recreated perfectly, these tubes carrying fluid and just vital stuff around his body. This is freaky nightmare fuel that Hasbro and I guess Saban and the people making Power Rangers at the time were like, yeah, kids are ready for this. And you know what? We were. The only people who weren't were parents. So after a few episodes, I think they really softened the character of Lord Zedd. They kept the same cool look, but he became like infatuated with a love potion with Rita, that was it. I was trying to say Ranita. It's like, no. Yeah, and it became more of a goofy, slapstick, silly thing. But when he was first introduced, oh, he was so badass. And this figure captured it brilliantly. I'd like him to be maybe a little bigger in stature, but I'm willing to allow that because it is just a case of scaling the figure as best they can do for that kind of 6-inch format. And it's not like he's a giant. I just like him to look a bit more imposing. Like if McFarlane DC made him, then he would have more of that 7-inch scale. That would work really well. But the detailing we get here for a $20 Hasbro figure, it's actually really good. I love that they've really got all the sinews and lines of the muscles in here. It doesn't just look like someone with a muscular body. It looks like he is missing the skin. You can see way more detail on all the tendons and all that kind of stuff. Looks really, really grim in a cool kind of way. Then, like I mentioned, the tubes here, beautiful separate pieces, actually made of soft rubber that can move around. That's great to give it more levels of detail, more layers is what I love. You've got his gnarly exposed brain on top there. Again, such a cool thing for a kid's cartoon. Like, some kids' cartoons had the coolest villains. What was the name of the big, scary robot dude in Reboot? I forget, but that guy, he was an awesome villain, and they never really softened him either. He was great. Was it Megabyte? I digress. Lord Zedd, though, with his great Lord Zedd staff as well, with the wonderful crackling power effects too, they really did an excellent job. I'm not going to get a whole bunch of Power Rangers. Don't need them, it's okay. But this guy as a standalone, well, is he standalone? Wait and see the rest of the episode. But on the whole, really, really dig this guy. Dude, thank you so much for this. Now we have our first G.I. Joe figure. Never had a Joe before, but everyone was always telling me, dude, you gotta try G.I. Joe. Like the tooling, the sculpting, the amount of work. You wouldn't believe it was from Hasbro. Well, here is what they can do. And I get it. I know it's kind of like a rumor, not confirmed necessarily, but it's because they own the license, therefore they don't have to pay for the license, therefore they can put more money into the action figures. Is that right? People with more information and, well, I don't know, intelligence, let me know in the comments, because that's my understanding as to why Marvel Legends used a lot of reuse and, you know, retooling and repainting, whereas G.I. Joe, they get a lot more kind of deluxe feeling treatment for the same price because Hasbro don't have to pay the license. It's like, no, we own this. We can just pump all the money into making awesome action figures, and this is what we have here. Guys, for encouraging me, enabling me, and occasionally just throwing money at me to get them, thank you, because I get it now. But also, damn you, because now I want more of them, because this is really, really good. The amount of detail on this guy is beautiful. Just the gun, the handgun alone, the little snakes all carved onto the barrel, I guess. The amount of little itty bitty teeny tiny sculpting. They went ham on this figure. Didn't have to go as ham as they did, but they did, and God bless you for it. I'm not a huge G.I. Joe aficionado, so I don't know the wheres and the whys that a lot of these character designs come in. I know this is Cobra Commander, obviously, but I'm used to a more basic looking Cobra Commander. This is like full regalia, dress, dinner with the ambassador type Cobra Commander, which I love because it just gives more opportunities for layers and bits of armor and the sash and the clips and the clasps. So much going on here. here. What that does do slightly is limit a little bit of articulation, but not hugely. I mean, he can still kick up and move around, and also, as I do move his joints, lovely smooth action. Oh, lovely smooth action. Very, very nicely put together here. Doesn't feel like I'm going to strain or stress anything. But again, going back to the details, he's got his removable knife here as well. And the amount of little bitty details on the blade, on the handle. Look at the cobra. Cobra! The cobra head on the handle is just so intricately put together. I really am hugely impressed. Already I've spoken to one of my buddies and I'm like, dude, you're a big G.I. Joe guy. Who else do I need? I'm like, oh, is this a rabbit hole I want to go down? Well, when the quality is like this, maybe I do. Because you can even see, they could have just done a red line on his trousers. That would have been fine. You could have got away with that. That's not a problem. But no. Instead, they did full-on snake scale kind of hide texture on here. So much more than they needed to. Same with his jacket as well. You've got that snake scale on there. They really looked at what they could do with this figure and went, just do all of it. Yeah, we'll just do all of it. Okay, great. And that's what you get. Such an awesome looking action figure. This might be the start of more Joes to come because I love this guy. Now we've got a big one. You know, my little Jim Lee X-Men project. What I've been wanting to do is upgrade the best version of every figure, every character I can find. Some of which include Marvel Legends and some are Select, Mezco, Mafex, and now Revelatech with this Cable figure. I saw so many pictures and I was thinking, he can't be as good as he looks in the pictures. Because I've seen a lot of Revelatech as well, and I'm like, I'm not entirely convinced. It's a very unusual style and method of making action figures with some really cool articulation, but weird sort of joints, and sometimes posing them is like more of a Rubik's Cube challenge than it is just normal moving action figures. Things slide and slot into place, and I'm like, is this really as good as it looks in person? I messaged a buddy of mine who had it, and he went, yeah, actually, he does look the bomb. So I got him in hand and yeah, he does look the bomb. This guy is so good. I absolutely love the amount of details going on here. I wanted a yellow and blue Cable because that's kind of my Cable from my mid-90s period when I started collecting. Now, don't get me wrong, the Legends Cable is brilliant. In fact, I'd go so far as to say, mwah! Chef's kiss. That was one of my favorite Marvel Legends, but it wasn't my Cable because I got more into X-Men around about post-Age of Apocalypse Onslaught kind of period. This is the Cable I'm more familiar with. And Revelatech have just taken every little piece of styling and tooling from that design and made an incredible action figure with this. Sometimes Revelatech, I'll say, they include details where you don't even necessarily need them. And sometimes that can be to the detriment because it means more moving parts, more joints, more potential problems. But you can take the rough with the smooth and the good with the bad comes the good, and we get there in the end. So you can see just from this design here, like just a awesome looking pose. I leaned too far back from the mic there. But you can see, what am I trying to say? I'm getting at a loss for words. It's just difficult when you're riffing like this sometimes. But he comes with two heads. And one of them, he's got the more sort of static expression. But also his eye, for me, is rolled right back in his head. Why? Because you can actually move the eyes around. There's a little stick you can stick in there and move the eye. But you know what? It's really hard to do. Alright, you might have thought, oh, that's the perfect solution to the DC McFarlane side-eye problem. Make the eyes movable. No, it's actually more of a problem than it's worth. I'd prefer just the fixed position, because you can move this eye too. I'm not going to bother. It's fine. It looks good. Just leave it at that. Now, the only problem I will say with this figure, there's wonderful amounts of accessories. You see his gun holster here, the different pockets and pouches. A stiff breeze. Okay, a stiff breeze could knock these off. So I was recommended, dude, when you take this guy out the box, make sure you have a clear surface, no little areas or nooks and crannies for things to fall into and disappear, because they will do. Alright, so you've got to be careful with how things are put together. Similarly, like the arms and the head and everything, like they'll pop off with Revelatech. That seems to be the case because they're so unusual and awkward to articulate. I think it's better that things pop off rather than break. I think that's kind of like how they're designed, so that's not a bad thing necessarily. And the different poses and styles you can get him in are pretty much limitless. He even has articulation kind of like in the back of his neck, the back of his head, so you can do more sort of crazy kind of head movements if you want. It's really just limited by your imagination and how willing you are to be patient and work out the best way of doing it. This huge, massive 90s Liefeld gun he's carrying, it's so great. This is actually two different guns, like a transformer you can take apart and put together, so you can have two separate guns. You can have this gigantic one with the side handle, which I really love. So this dude with the bright colors, the wonderful kind of texture on the blue of his suit makes it look like he's wearing like a Kevlar battle suit kind of thing. The grenades at the side there. This, for me, is the ultimate Cable. I absolutely adore this guy. Now we've got a figure that I saw a picture of and just fell in love with. And this isn't from any kind of franchise or comic book or anything. This is a unique creation. And honestly, I gotta say, this is the closest I think action figures for me that I collect come to just creative art pieces. This is Damn Toys Maschinenkrieger action figure 1/12 scale Gansboy. Whew, that I had to read that off, even though I love this figure and I've got him right here. I'm like, wait, what are you called again? Isn't he just the most unique, unusual, quirky, beautiful little guy you've ever seen? The answer is yes. Yes, he is, Dave. I just fell in love with him. I think it's massively because I'm kind of a Japanophile. I used to live there, and I saw, it's so weird because this is a robot wearing a suit, and yet I saw him and I went, yeah, I've seen thousands of these guys sat on the train on the way home from work, because somehow in this quirky design they've actually captured your classic Japanese salaryman on the way home from work. He's got this not rotary, but like old 80s style chunky mobile phone which fits into his hand here, but it's just like balanced, so I'll keep it out for now. But everything about him is just this classic little Japanese worker robot. Like if they ever replaced the salarymen in Japan and let them go home and relax and put their feet up for a bit, because Lord knows they deserve to, they would replace them with these little robots here. They'd dress them up in their suits so that they could, fit in with the public a bit easier. But this has so much going on. It reminds me of a stop motion animation kind of puppet. Like you would get this in a Wes Anderson Fantastic Mr. Fox type movie where there's just so much little detail going on. I could do like a 2-hour video on this guy going over all the accessories and the little bits of fine point, minute detail. He comes with a table like you'd find in a restaurant with a bowl of ramen on there, a couple of chopsticks as well. He can have the chopsticks in his hand with the ramen hanging down, and it's just, I see it and I'm like, I'm back home. Like that's Japan, except it's a little miniature robot version. I love him. He's got all these wonderful little bits of detail that I'm so afraid of breaking that I want to be very, very careful with. Each finger articulates, and he can hold his little briefcase there, and just the amount of detail in the suit as well, the stitching, the tie, the shirt, it's just stunning. It's artwork. It's an action figure art piece. He's going to go straight in my cosmic collection as well. He's going to be like a cosmic accountant for the bounty hunters. Love it. There's also a light in here as well, which is kind of funny because it's a very dim light, even though he's got a decent amount of batteries in there and they're all fresh. Like it comes on, it glows just a teeny tiny little bit, but it's fine. It's the thought that counts on that one. But I just fell in love with this guy as soon as I saw him, and I saw him on like a website for Japanese action figures, and I was like, how the heck am I gonna get my hands on this guy? I don't even know when he's coming out or what places in the UK or anywhere in the world will stock him. Thankfully, Emporium of Cool, they were the ones who had him, and I'm so glad. I've been saying that about all these figures, but I mean, that's why I do this channel, because I adore action figures. Doesn't that come as a surprise? I love this guy so much. Absolutely beautiful. Easily top contender for figure of the year at the moment. You heard it here, just because of the love and crafting and tooling that has gone into making this guy. Absolutely wonderful, a huge highlight of my collection. And finally, my other Comic-Con pickup is Green Ranger Shredder. Oh my goodness, I was not planning necessarily to get this guy, but I did see the pictures online and I thought he does look Very, very cool. So I thought, well, when I see him in person, maybe I'll make a judgment call. One of my buddies came up to me at Comic-Con. He was like, look, dude, the Green Ranger Shredder, he looks the bomb. I went over and took a look. I was like, yeah, okay. He does look great. He is more expensive, though. This is the price of like a deluxe Hasbro figure. And I was like, I don't know, just come on, tempt me some more. And I looked a little closer and I saw cloth cape. Okay. Sold. There you go. That did it. And I'm so glad I took the plunge because this guy is absolutely phenomenal. I love it. I was thinking like, where am I going to put him? But yeah, my sort of fantasy kind of collection, that works perfectly. The way that they have mashed up all the coolest elements of the Green Ranger with Shredder together to make this overall awesome, badass looking villain character. Absolutely wicked. I think sort of the headcanon for this is essentially just Shredder gets the Green Ranger coin and there you go. I'm not convinced by a lot of the Power Ranger Turtles mashups because I think the Turtles as Power Rangers, it just looks like fat Power Rangers. Like that doesn't really do anything for me as a design, but this is a great incorporation of two different characters mashed up together that works so well. The way that they've done the Shredder helmet with that classic design, but then with the points, the angles, and actually sort of the Dragon Zord type face on the top there, such a clever way of integrating the two different styles. He's got the Green Ranger shoulder pad armor, then with the Shredder spikes, and also with the spikes, lots of tooling and texture on here. It's not just kind of ridged and rippled, but there's actually like sing, like little slice marks where obviously he's been guarding katana blades and stuff. So there's a lot of detail going on in here. Then the effect pieces, the power effects that they snap onto, not snap onto, but beautifully just glide onto the hand blades there that just add so much more color and dynamism to this action figure. The cape itself also beautiful with the shredded kind of bottom and then the little holes cut out there as well. I'm gonna be so careful with those, don't want to rip them. It just comes together to make this phenomenal art piece. Yeah, again, more like an art piece. That's why I don't mind paying a deluxe price for this figure when they put so much into it. This isn't like a Star Wars black figure that's the same as the original but with one extra gun and it's like, there you go, it's an extra $10. What? How? Here I can see, no, I get it. This is worthy of the price increase to my eye. Like, I have no problem with that. Great articulation as well, where he's got kind of the ab crunch and then the torso swivel as well with the butterfly shoulders. You can do a lot with this guy, and that's another really nice thing. This ain't no Bucky Cat body here, all right? We're moving on up, moving on out. Time to break free, nothing can stop me. And nothing can stop me from loving this figure, is what I'm saying. Don't need to get the rest of the line. He can stand alone as his own perfect piece. This was the only one that I was considering getting, and I'm so glad that I did. The sash with, is it the morphing coin thing? Where he's like, Mastodon, Dragon Zord. I can still remember vaguely from Power Rangers, but that's the thing. You don't need to be a Power Rangers fan to appreciate just how awesome this is with the piercing, glowing red eyes sticking out from there. Shredder looks so badass, so wicked. The more I look at him, you've got more details and nicks and scratches on the armor. He looks like he's been battling the Turtles. He's got 2 fist hands and an open hand as well, so you can have a bit more kind of like style, dynamism going on with that. I absolutely love this guy. So happy to have him. This is a great pickup. And guys, that was my loot crate incorporating, gosh, about the last couple of months actually. It's been a long time, and besides a couple of Marvel Legends, these were the other figures outside of the Marvel umbrella that I've picked up, and I'm so happy with them. Thank you so much, folks, who have been supporting the channel to help me get this incredible collection. I dig it so much. I was thinking, shall I rank them? Nah, I can't. They're all just wicked. I love them so much. They're awesome. So folks, thank you so much for watching. What have you picked up over the last few weeks? Comment below, let me know, or go over to the Facebook group. Post some pictures, share in the wonder of awesome action figures. Guys, thanks so much for watching, and until next time, keep displaying model behavior.
If you enjoyed that video, then why not go over to the Patreon, like all these people did, and pledge a little bit of money for Dave, and you can watch all the exclusive videos, just like I do with Bebop and Krang. We sit down and we watch the videos. Patreon.com/displaying model behavior. And get yourself a model behavior t-shirt over at teespring.com. Check the link in the description below. What's that, Krang? I'm coming over here. Oh, you've done a mashup with Rita Repulsa. That looks weird.
Weird.